happy Wisdom Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing to spend some of your time with me. It's your girl, Maria Milagros here. And today's nugget, we're still in the month of February, and so we're going to be talking about the power of love for the whole month. And again, I had something completely different written for today, but this came up over the weekend, and so I felt like I really needed to share this with all of you because it's just a reminder that we're human, right? So this weekend, I went to the Redbox machine to return a movie that I rented for my daughter. And when I got to the Redbox machine, there was a woman standing in front of me. And the way her arms were moving on the machine, you could tell that there was something weird. So I leaned over, and the glass was completely shattered. Like completely shattered. And I remember just going, really? 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 And I couldn't stop saying that. And each time I said it, it got a little louder. And she looked over, and I said, you should probably stop touching the machine. You're going to hurt yourself, right? And shattered. I mean, little teeny tiny pieces of glass. And when I really took a look at the machine, there was a circular fist in the machine. And then the glass was shattered because of that. And I thought, somebody punched the machine? Like, whatever, you took it out on the machine? And then I turned around, I got in my car, and I started to drive to the next Redbox machine, which was like 10 minutes away. And as I was on my way, I felt ridiculously overwhelmed with both anger and sadness. And the Redbox machine really was like the straw that broke the camel's back, because the truth of the matter is, the day before, I found out that a friend of mine was diagnosed with cancer, and I felt some sadness about that. And then, right before that was the shootings in Florida at the school. And then I was online, and I saw an article pop up about, politics. And I generally avoid politics because I know that for me, I have to own the fact that it just makes me really angry that these people sit around and try to make decisions that they think is the best for everyone else. And when I hear that people are trying to dictate what a woman should and should not do with her body, and yet Viagra is available through insurance, that makes me feel some kind of way. And so I had been poking around on social media, and I had been reading all this political stuff, and I let myself go on this little tangent from one to the next to the next to the next. And each time I got more and more angry by what was going on. And then, so there was the cancer and the shooting and and it was just compounding, right? And the reality was too, I didn't sleep well the night before. I decided to stay up and get a bunch of stuff done, which I really knew I should have got to bed. And then during that day, I didn't eat as much as I should have, so I was kind of hangry, and I was dealing with that too. And then the Redbox machine that was it. It made me snap. And then there are some real race relation stuff that's happening with some members of my family simply because of the color of their skin, and that's really agitating. So I just felt myself being really overwhelmed by anger and sadness, and I got in the car and I started dropping F-bombs and yelling and screaming and crying and shaking the steering wheel, and it was a long 10-minute drive to the next Redbox machine. And when I got to the next Redbox machine, I got out of the car, and I was just so angry. And at this point now, I'm just really feeling it, right? And I get out of the car, and I took a deep breath. And I didn't take a deep breath because I'm a life coach, and I always teach people to take deep breaths, right? That would have been brilliant. But I honestly took a deep breath because I was so worked up that I literally needed to just catch my breath. And when I did, the air was so crisp and cold that it stopped me in my tracks. And it felt like that, right? Yeah, it felt like that. So I was gonna say in a gentle way, but no, it felt like that. And then I remembered, as I was looking at the DVD, how much this video made my daughter laugh. And it made me feel calmer instantly because it's my daughter's laugh, right? And then I remembered the years of my life that I spent living in anger and sadness. I remember the heaviness of the depression that I suffered during those years. I remembered just feeling the angst of everything all the time. It felt like the world was constantly giving me reasons to be angry and sad. And then I remembered that one day I woke up and I decided that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired and that I had a choice. And I remembered that as much as the world gave me reasons to be angry and sad, there have to be as many reasons to be hopeful and joyful. And I started looking for those, and then I started finding them. And when I started finding them, I remembered that I get to choose whether I'm going to contribute to the world's energy in a positive way or in a negative way. And as naive as it may sound to some of you, how we think and move through the world and how we feel does impact the world. You know that when somebody walks into a room and they are feeling some kind of funky way, something about you tells you yourself that avoid that person. They didn't say anything, they didn't do anything. It's just the energy they brought into the room, you know. So you cannot deny that we are contributing to the energy just based on how we feel. And knowing that, I had decided many years ago that I was going to contribute to that energy as positively and as often as possible. Now, I'm human, so I get angry, I get sad, things piss me off, but I choose not to stay there because the reality is it's a choice. And I remember many years ago, I had written in my journal, if I choose to act from anger and sadness, I'm not good to anyone, including myself. But if I choose to operate from love, I'm better for everybody. And that could not have proved itself to be more true in my life. Because yes, there was some movement and some activism and some stuff that took place in the midst of my anger and my sadness, but nothing in comparison to the activism and the movement and the action that took place when I operated from love. And then here's the thing. I had to realize that the love had to come, it had to be here first in order for me to give it. It had to be. Because if I'm not taking care of myself like that day and the night before, I didn't sleep well. And that was because I chose to stay up and to grind through the night. And then I woke up the next morning feeling a little groggy and tired, right? That's mine. I have to own that. I did that. And then I went through the day and I tried to plow through the day and do as many activities and stuff. And I didn't feed myself enough. I didn't take care of myself enough. And that I have to own. Those are my choices. I didn't pause my day to feed myself. I have to own the fact that that contributed to when I later decided to poke around on social media and look at political stuff, which I have to own that I chose to spend my time doing that. It was compounded by the fact that I was tired and hungry. So here I am not fully taking care of myself, not fully loving on myself, and then I'm trying to deal with this crazy. I'll tell you what, you and I both know that there are days where you feel so good, you're well rested, you eat well, you feel good, you worked out something, and then you go and you're in the midst of some crazy and it doesn't affect you because you took care of yourself first. And then when you show up, you're able to give from your overflow. You're able to impact that situation in a more positive way, in a more loving way. You decided that love would be your weapon of choice. Versus, you don't sleep well, you don't eat well, you don't take care of yourself, you show up in that same crazy, and either you go right into that crazy, you get sucked right in, or you begin to contribute to the crazy. That's real for all humans. So we have to remember that this is a journey, this is a process, that's what life is. We get to feel all of these emotions, and they're really great because the emotions give us the opportunity to acknowledge what we don't want in our lives so that we can then acknowledge what we do want in our lives. And what I want is more joy and more hope and more love. And I know that I can be that, but I have to take care of myself first. I have to give myself permission to take care of myself first and foremost, to process my emotions, to release them, to acknowledge when they no longer serve me, and then to pour love all over them, right? Now, this process for some people will take weeks, months, years. But so long as you're starting, that's what's important, because that's what's going to get you to the place where it's going to take you a 10-minute drive from one place to another. And then after that, later on that night, when I fed myself and I sat in meditation and prayer and I just let myself just be kind of in that moment, I felt compassion for whoever broke the red box machine. And I thought if they felt love, they would not have broken that machine. So my job is to pour more love out there into the world. And I might not be able to find that person, but I can find a person and contribute in that way. But again, I can't do that until I keep myself aligned with who I am and whose I am, and I take care of myself. And people who are loved don't shoot up schools. And people who are loved and taught to self-love don't try and control what other people are or aren't doing with their bodies. They acknowledge that those are their bodies. This world needs more love. And so during this time of fighting, my request is that your weapon of choice be love. And is it always going to be easy? No. But is it always possible? Yes. And it starts right here. So during this fabulous month of February, when we're talking about love, this is my nugget for you. Choose love as your weapon of choice. Choose love as the thing that you begin with and that you give with and that you operate from. Because when we do that, the whole thing, the whole process, the whole journey, when we do that whole thing, that is super sparkly everything. I hope you have a great rest of your week and a fantastic, super sparkly weekend. I love you and I believe in you.